A leader's role in driving continuous improvement culture can't be overstated. And in today's episode of Mic Drop Insights and Lessons from CI Thought Leaders, my guest, Putera Camaro, is going to talk about his experience in the public service and the role of leadership in driving that mindset of continuous improvement. Gary Cox. I am your host. I'm also the author of the book Cultivating Champions of CI, a leader's toolbox for creating a continuous improvement culture. My guest, as I said, is Putera Camaro. Let's jump into his understanding and his experience with leadership playing the role in continuous improvement. What do you think leaders, be they public servant leaders or be business leaders, what's their top three things that you think that they would need to be doing if they want to develop that mindset of continuous improvement in their teams?
So I would say first and foremost is lead by doing, or as one individual, Brian Myers, put it, is lean by doing. You want to showcase everybody that you can walk the continuous improvement talk and actually be on the Gemba where the work actually happens. Make it visual that you're there showcasing this is a priority for you. You're there to actually engage in the shop floor. It's about team-based problem solving, right? And for you to actually implement improvements. That way, now this is the expectation. They're taking time out of their day, actually move the business forward and to help folks that are on the Gemba doing the value creation activities, removing the non-value added ones so that it will improve people's lives. Yeah, and second point I would say is to eliminate the fear of failure. The leadership team needs to make a safe space so that we can experiment, because discovery requires experimentation. Experiments do fail. Lean will have its failures. But again, that's all part of the PDCA cycle, right? You just reiterate and readjust the course. And I would say failing is actually a failure, a first attempt in learning. That's like the model that we like to use. That failure is actually a lesson learned and a vital piece of intel. So it's really important for you to have a learning and a sharing platform, even with the failures, and make people comfortable with sharing those failures, because oftentimes people just don't want to share that, oh man, I spent all this time doing this and now it didn't even work. I'm going to get in trouble for this. But no, creating that safe space is so important, even for the failures. I would say the last thing that's so important is celebrating achievements and the improvements, going up and to the person saying, hey, I noticed you did that shadow board there. That is so brilliant. And now it's making everyone in the team, their lives so much easier in gathering the tools and deploying back to the service, to service the fields. So just giving that form of recognition and celebrating it. We transfer solutions from one area to another, and they can translate it into their own context, because it's highly likely, again, shared pain points.
Yeah, and I think you talk about that shared platform for failures. Having that shared platform for successes is equally as important, so that you can get that repetition going. One department has learned to do something really, really well. How do you replicate it in the next department? Often the first time a project gets done, because you have such this high level of engagement from the people that are in the project, your success is going to be sustained. When you go to replicate that into another one, it's a bit of a challenge, because the solution has already been identified for you, right? Because you're replicating somebody else's success.
Yeah.
How do you make that success, that replication, your own in your world? Yeah. Because you're going from department A to department B.
Yeah. No, I come across this quite often, where we think one box will fit another, but of course, naturally, that's not the case. So with that, we again go back to the roots of the voice of the customer, truly understand what is it about that shared process where they deal with struggles and the nuances. We may have to mold the existing solution to fit, and what is it about that shared process where they deal with that particular context, because it's perhaps not a like for like process as we think. And from my real world examples, that tends to be the case, that there are certain nuances for that department B.
They do vary from department to department, and if you can understand the principles that were associated with tree, or using some of the cause and effect analysis as the tools to get to root cause, or asking 5 whys. If you start to talk about the how it was done in Department B, now they're realizing, okay, we're not just carbon copying what another department has done. We're going to create it for ourselves. And
Yeah.
you know, I also think that, anytime you can borrow somebody else's good idea and make it your own, you've saved yourself a lot of time too. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something to think about as well.
100%.
Right.
No, but that's a great point. Thank you.
So what roles does the employees play in peer mentoring each other in the way of continuous improvement?
Well, it's really about them having the initiative to want to remove struggles from their own lives. Once the impact is actually there, it will naturally create pull and curiosity. So what we like to also say here is water the flowers and not the weeds. Put your energy towards those that are inclined to bettering themselves, right? Because you don't want to be putting your limited time and bandwidth towards efforts that won't fruition.
If you're enjoying this episode of Mic Drop Insights and Lessons from CI Thought Leaders, be sure to like, subscribe, add your comments. We'd love to hear them. Yeah, the leaders, I mean, there's always going to be leaders in any group, right? And that's just kind of the way we are as humans. And sometimes they don't have a title. Your leaders can be people within the team, and it's being able to identify who those are and helping nurture your leaders can be picture them, because they have basically a natural following of others. This can be the opposite too. If that particular individual is a resistor, they can influence the people around them as well. So we do have to be mindful of how we deal with those folks. When you're dealing with those folks, giving them a voice, to your point, and engaging them, letting them know when things that they have an opportunity to make things better, and for the people they serve. And I think if in the public sector, that's pretty, to your point, these are your neighbors that you're serving at the end of the day. In a private sector, these are potentially your customers, but whether they're paying customers or taxpayers, they still want value for their money, right?
There's a saying, you change the people towards where you want to head, or you change the people. Sometimes not everyone will be on board with the mission at hand, but you as a leader, if that's truly where you want to go, you can't have folks slowing the ship down, because then it's going to steer away from the destination or sink your ship even. It's a tough decision at times, but if you want to move forward and supercharge your journey, it's a tough call to make, but necessary at times.
And I think often we think about lean in the technical sense, and there is a whole soft side leadership skill component that requires development that is not necessarily always in your standard, Lean Six Sigma training. That requires it should be, and certainly is in any that I lead and coach. But if you look at the Toyota, the Toyota production system, there are 14 management principles that are associated with that. Those are the kinds of things that are key in whether you're in the public sector or the private sector, if you're in a manufacturing business or if you're in the service industry. The people leadership piece is equally, if not, in my opinion, more weighted towards success, having the technical tools. Yes, no, agree, disagree?
No, 100%. That is actually one of the discoveries, realizations that I had as I continued to progress with lean and the 2-second lean principles, that honestly, this is just about leadership. This is how you move the needle forward, because you need to set the expectation, you inspect the expectation, and you celebrate that expectation. And the ones that can impact that the most are leaders. And actually, within where I work, they say that one of the most vital roles in the organization, they are the supervisors. They are that frontline leader. They are the closest to those who are creating value for the end customers. So I agree to what you're saying, that it ultimately boils down to leadership.
And it's bringing those together, equipping the leaders with the right tools to be able to be successful. And again, it's not just soft skills or technical skills. It's that combination of both. All right. So any final things you want to wrap up with there, Putera, and just give some folks some last nugget of advice?
Yeah, so I think I would really encourage folks to shift the mindset about lean and continuous improvement, rather than it solely being about process improvement, make it about the people, because that's what would really resonate and engage people to actually doing lean for the benefit of them, but their peers and their customers and themselves, of course, right? And I would say leaders, we tend to shoulder this huge burden and want to, or feel the need to do every single improvement, when that's not necessarily your role. Your role is really to facilitate and create the right environment and conditions so you can foster that continuous improvement desire, so that people can implement improvements safely and willingly and make it struggle free. And the last thing I'll say is that if lean is made to be simple, enjoyable, and impactful, that's how it'll just continue to sustain itself in a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, people want to be a part of it. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again for being a part of the program. I'm excited for you and the career that lay ahead for you and the citizens that you serve. I'm really excited that if people want to connect with you, we're going to make sure that they connect through LinkedIn.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, Gary.
All right. And so thank you for watching. If you liked Putera and I's discussion today, make sure you give us a thumbs up, make sure you hit the subscribe button and share this with your friends and comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say.